I'm Haley. Welcome to the whole podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, welcome to the whole podcast. My name's Andrew Hoffmann. I'm going to be filling in a little bit because this is kind of more of my category and also John's category. We are here right now with Aaron and Riley from Ability KC, and they are working with adaptive gaming systems and being able to have people with disabilities be able to use these games and play just like everyone else. So we're really excited to have you guys on today. Really appreciate you guys stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This is really exciting to be here. So,
yeah. Okay, cool. John, do you want to kick it off with the questions?
Yeah, sure. Riley, can you tell us more about Ability KC and how you help support adaptive gamers?
Yeah, absolutely happy to talk about that. So my name is Riley. Obviously, I'm an occupational therapist. I work at Ability KC. We're an outpatient rehab facility. And so we have a lot of clients that come through. We're a facility that mostly sees neurological conditions. So a lot of people with stroke, spinal cord injuries, traumatic brain injuries come through our facility. I work in our assistive tech department. And so a lot of our patients get referred to us internally from our the clinical side. And then, sometimes their occupational therapist on the clinical side will see that they were a previous gamer. They're not able to play anymore because of their condition or their injury or whatever it happened. And so they'll refer them over to me to have an adaptive gaming evaluation. And so I'll see them we have a dedicated gaming lab that I'll see them in. And we'll kind of go through and do an entire evaluation based on their physical and cognitive deficits and things like that. And then kind of see what adaptive equipment they might need to increase their independence or be fully independent with gaming. So that's just kind of a very general overview of how that works at Ability. So
that's really cool. I mean, being able to give someone the power not only to be independent but be able to play these games, games that we grew up loving to play. It's really cool to see that. I almost feel like a kid relearning these games if you're playing with this. It's super cool.
Yeah,
super cool.
It's been really, really, really special, this role, just helping people who were gamers before get back to being able to play what they want to do, or how they want to play and the games they want to play, or helping people who've had a stroke or something and helping them expand their activities and their leisure options. So it's been very, very rewarding part of my job.
Okay, sounds good. John, you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, so Riley just introduced himself, but now let's move on to Aaron with AbleGamers.
Yes, so my name's Aaron, and I work with the AbleGamers charity that works very closely with Ability KC. I'm an adaptive gaming specialist, and what I do is I get to work very closely with different players who have disabilities who need to find a way back to gaming and are just prevented from doing so because they don't know what tools are out there that they need in order to be able to game. And I help hook them up with those particular tools, those controls. And also, AbleGamers helps fund the getting that equipment for people who can't afford it because, unfortunately, adaptive equipment like this is very, very expensive.
And not only that, they're pretty rare as well.
Yep. It's hard to find them. Most people, if they were to be trying to look for this type of equipment online, they wouldn't just start off by typing in adaptive equipment.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably start off typing in something that relates to whatever their disability is.
Right.
Like, how does a muscular dystrophy person play video games? And then they'll try to go from there. And it's just, they'll get some results, but it varies, the results that they'll get. And it's all of the information that's out there, it's not clear on how to get access to that information. It's very, very difficult to pull it all in.
Yeah, and I noticed that even when searching up adaptive equipment for video games, every single company tends to build it in their own unique way. So, like, are there like any challenges on how you try to search for what works for which person?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of different variables for that. For what you just talked about, how there's a bunch of different controllers.
Mm.
So like Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation, they have all of their own what adaptive controllers basically, and we call them hubs because that's essentially what they are.
Mm.
And each one works with their own console natively. Um, but some of them, which you might want to use like the Xbox controller on a different system, well, because maybe the PlayStation Access controller isn't working well for you for some reason or another.
Hmm.
Well, in order to do that, you have to find certain adapters to adapt it to the console, and then there are times when those adapters might, expire or like they don't work anymore because of a patch that comes through.
Oh.
Yep, for a system. And
We
so
had a lot of challenges there. I
yes,
feel like AbleGamers, especially, you guys run into a lot of those issues.
yes, that's a big one that we run into when adapters like when a patch comes through and it's
Yeah.
like, well, nope, this adapter doesn't work for this controller on this console anymore, so we're gonna have to try and find an alternative.
So it's not like they're trying to change the controller itself. Like it's the patch that messes up the accessibility to the controller.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, like the patch comes through. Sometimes, these depending on whatever software these adapters might be running, or also a lot of these adapters are used for people to enhance their own game, able-bodied people to enhance their own gaming. And
Cheaters.
yes, cheaters, if you will. Essentially. And in order to cut down on that kind of cheating, these bigger video game companies are sending through those patches to prevent those adapters from working, which unfortunately has the byproduct of affecting the disability community.
Okay. So it's kind of like for Mortal Kombat or something, like if you want to tap A like really quick.
Yeah.
People have found ways to do that don't have disabilities. Okay. I never knew that. Knew that. That's really interesting. Okay.
A lot of the adapters that are used for, us to, connect an Xbox adaptive controller, for example, I feel like a lot of them were just created for like controller modders, like people who want to like change
Okay.
their controller to, be able to like hit this button really quickly a number of times, right? Or whatever it is, you need some sort of adapter to make that happen for a regular controller.
Right.
And so I feel like a lot of these off the market are not meant for adaptive gaming necessarily, right? And it's more so for that, but then we can use those for the adaptive controllers.
Yeah, so you have like these adapters like the Titan or what's another one? Is it the Cronus Max?
Cronus Max.
I think is what it's called. Those adapters like that, you can essentially go through and program a specific script.
Yeah.
And like do things like have a rapid like fire A's and like being able to like jump up with and I don't know what all these cheaters will how they'll program it in order to optimize their gameplay, but yeah.
I just remember back in the Xbox 360 days playing like Call of Duty. You would run into that people who mod their controllers to shoot semi-automatic weapons like unnaturally fast. And they're cheating essentially. But I feel like the adapters were made for almost like that kind of thing.
Yeah. The
at some
drop
point.
shots. The drop shots, all those, those still drive me crazy to this day, honestly.
Yeah, man. It's rough. But I mean, obviously the adapters have been so great for us to be able to like plug an Xbox adaptive controller into like a PlayStation, for example. But then PlayStation, Sony, they're like, well, these guys are cheating or whatever. They're using we want to disable all of these adapters. And like Aaron said, that hits the disability community hard, who are using these adapters to play with their adaptive controls.
Oh,
right.
man.
Each of the console companies all have their own kind of definition on adaptability, and like we would notice that some companies don't might care less about accessibility compared to others.
Right. And it's interesting because Microsoft actually they do care. I feel like they care a lot. I
Mhm.
mean, they created these products. They have OTs working there in their accessibility departments. And helping develop these controllers, adaptive things. They still will ban adapters because I feel like maybe just their larger gaming division is just like, this is the priority, I guess. But
Would you be able to kind of like show these off and kind of talk about these a little bit, just so if someone's watching that has no idea what these are, you could kind of explain that to them?
certainly, yeah. I guess just for people who don't understand what equipment's out there in general for adaptive gaming, each of the large, like we kind of talked about, each of the large companies have come out with their own adaptive controllers, specifically Microsoft and Sony. So Microsoft has released this controller. I mean, it was like 2020 or 2019 or something.
Yeah.
It was during the Xbox One era. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it essentially, they call it the adaptive controller. It's more of a hub. So like Aaron had said before, what you do with it, I mean, certainly there's two large buttons here that you can use, and those are just mapped to A and B. But really where it comes, where the important part is the back part here. There's an input or a jack for each individual action that you could take on a standard Xbox controller. So, they have all the face buttons, A button, B button, X, Y buttons, the triggers and the bumpers, D-pad, and the joystick. So everything you could ever need to control, something in the game is represented here. And what you do is you will plug in switches into these slots. Here, I can bring a switch from the side here.
We have a goodie bag here full of a bunch of controllers.
I do. I have the adaptive gaming goodie bag over here. But yes, you will. This is just like a standard switch. It's called a jelly bean. You hit it, and whatever you have plugged in to the back of this controller will end up being that input. So right now I plugged it into the A button slot. When you hit this, that is your A button now. And it works natively with any of their Xbox consoles. And so you could imagine how customized we can get with our setups using a controller like this, because you can plug any number of switches into it or joysticks and all different types of switches, different types of buttons and things for people to hit. And so this controller has really paved the way for a lot of the other adaptive stuff that has come out later. And so just last year, or even I think it was earlier this year, they released this, which is the adaptive joystick, which plugs directly into the side of this controller and can be used for, either left or the right joystick of a controller. And then all the buttons, face buttons, or the back buttons can be programmed to any button you want, A button, B button, whatever you want it to be. And so, again, just goes to show how customizable you can really make our setups.
It kind of reminds me of the nunchuck from like Wii.
It does.
That's the first thing I think of when I see that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because they had an older product that Microsoft made that it was basically identical to a nunchuck.
Yeah. They're like, we got to change something here.
Right. They're like, let's come out with a more, professional product or whatever. But that one you're holding,
That's crazy.
it's pretty cool.
I love that.
That's called the Proteus controller. Or is it maybe the BioWave made by Proteus?
Yeah, it's I think it's the Proteus controller made by BioWave.
So this one's kind of cool. It's a fully modular controller essentially. And so
any of the buttons can be moved around where
yeah,
to your own comfort level.
Very cool.
right. And so this setup I've made is a one-handed, like kind of meant for someone who has either an amputee or a hemiplegic arm or whatever. But basically, we got our joystick here with our thumb, we got our trigger on the back, and then access to buttons on the back, with that finger. And I've placed these like custom so that people can access these buttons, and everything kind of need to play a game that requires just one joystick.
Okay.
But these can be fully, all these blocks here are fully modular. So I can just
so you
kinda
can
just-
add and remove as many as you need.
Yes, you kind of
Oh, wow.
fully they fully come apart, and you can kind of arrange them. Say I wanted like it to look like this, to play like this.
Oh.
You could do something like that. And there's more blocks at home. It's like Legos.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking
But-
like a snowman, but a controller, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
That's
and there's
exactly
more you
what
could
it's like.
add, and I've seen plenty of different setups, and so it can be pretty customized to a person's needs. And And so it's just a neat controller. I think they came out with that last year, or pretty recent. So
the samples that we were showing during the presentation for this one,
Mhm.
it's almost cool. It's almost like a drummer. You know,
Yeah.
you got everything lined up the way that you want it.
Right.
You got the cymbals over here.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot
it's
about
like
drums.
we're playing Rock Band.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
But no, it's cool how like everything's customizable to your liking pretty
Yeah.
much. And you also said something about like the simpler the better. You know, you're not looking for the ultimate, setup here. You're looking for what works with you, what works with your disability type thing. So,
Yeah, I think people who might want to get in, to helping set up these adaptive setups you might just gravitate towards these pictures you see online that are just complicated setups, right? You got this and you got buttons all over here and joysticks out here, and just like, they might be like, okay, this guy needs every single button and everything on the controller, and I'm just going to try and set something up for them. I'd say that's probably not the way to go with setting up, an adaptive setup for someone. You really want to focus on the most important inputs that are needed to play the game, and set those up first, and then kind of branch your way out as the user and the client gets more skills and more familiar with the setup we're going with. And sometimes, like you said, the simpler solution is always going to be better. If you kind of overload someone with all this, it's just not going to work, And so for some clients who only want to play games that require a joystick and a few buttons, well, that's all you need to set up. We don't need to go and do a full setup or whatever. So it's really client specific, client focused. So,
Okay.
Yeah, in relation to that, I noticed that with the Xbox One controller, the Jelly Bean, there's like no labeling on it or anything. Obviously, it's because you can plug it into any of the buttons, but does that ever cause any confusion on what people are actually pressing?
sometimes, what we would do for that, and that's a good point. It is important to label and have our clients know, especially some of our clients who have cognitive deficits. Logitech has made a switch kit that is kind of your kind of intro to adaptive gaming kind of kit that comes with a bunch of switches that kind of look like that Jelly Bean. They're just made by Logitech, and they give you all these stickers to be able to label all of your buttons.
Oh, okay.
We don't label these at our facility because we do use it for so many varied things, not
Right.
just gaming. We use it for plenty of other things. So we don't ever label because of that.
So
But
it's just not like 4 green buttons in a row or something.
yeah. We would certainly, I would suggest for someone, to label their A button with A, or whatever, provided they have 4, switches and they can label A button, B, X, Y, or whatever. So yeah, certainly would want to label that. Also, we didn't mention this one either. I don't know if you want to go ahead and talk through this one.
Yeah, well, this is the PlayStation Access controller, which is PlayStation's basically version of the adaptive controller, and on theirs, with the all of the different buttons and switches that go around the circle, essentially you can switch out the different symbols on them. They have these little rubber.
Oh, wow.
I think they're rubber, and you just pull them off.
It's magnetic.
Oh, it's magnetic.
Yeah.
Gotcha. They're magnets.
Yep.
I've never felt them. Never been able to pull them apart because my fingers don't work. But yeah, you can just replace. Yeah, you can put them around anywhere you want to on the controller, and then you can label them anything you want to.
Okay, so that's what I was gonna ask. So are these labels on here, or like if I wanted right 2 to be on that side, move it over there and it's on that side type thing? Cool.
Yeah.
So
cool.
you move it over there. It doesn't just automatically become log 2.
Oh,
You'd have to
okay.
remap that in the settings on the
Mhm.
PlayStation 5 to that button. But yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So PlayStation has their own, software that you go through and you can edit each button.
Mhm.
And so you could, if you want that one to be, R1, you can, on the software side of things, make button 6 that's labeled number 6 there.
Yep.
R1 or whatever. Or you could just switch, like those little labels come off.
Yeah.
And you can just switch those around. It just kind of just depends how you want to do it. But
So it's just like key binding on Steam, basically. Like if you want to use a controller for a Steam game,
Right.
you would just key bind it kind of the same way.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's similar kind of thing where you can fully customize.
Would this work on Steam?
Yes.
It does.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool.
So the XAC is compatible with just Windows devices.
Okay.
There's a little program. It's called Devices and Connections, I think. I'm not sure if that's what it's called in PC, but you can view the XAC once you plugged it in and then do all of your mapping. This has full, remapping as well. And you can use this to play games on PC, when you got loaded up through Steam. It basically just views it as a standard Xbox controller.
Yep.
Essentially, so.
And that's what it'll do with the so the PlayStation Access controller will also work on Steam.
Okay.
I found that in order to program it though, you have to have a PS5.
Yeah, you mentioned that during the presentation. Like, it's very just like PlayStation 5. You can't go to 4 or 3 or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit limited as far as compatibility goes. The Access controller, at least, a little more so. I think adapters do work at some level with other, or no?
So I'm pretty sure we can get like it to work with adapters on other systems. But the problem just comes back to like if you want to program it, like to make sure you have all of the buttons where you want them, you need to do it through the PS5.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you could change it if you wanted. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I
a nice
imagine there's
workaround, though.
probably we just don't know yet, but there's probably like some softwares on the computer that you might be able to use to redo the keybinds, like Rewaz. Rewazd. It's REWASD. It's a cool little program that basically lets you switch around key bindings on controllers and do different things like that.
I feel like it's funny just because like you ask a question, can you do this? Like, can we do this with this? Is this compatible here, or can we set this up? But what I found is like the answer is like almost always yes. Like we can figure it out, but it just gets super complicated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Aaron and I have spent time just like, okay, we need this. We want to do this and goal, very complicated kind of access method. And then we need to download this program and also this one and this one. And then we got to make sure we order them all correctly in the same, it can get very in depth. And so that's obviously not going to work for a lot of people because, for my average patient, the reason why I always do simpler is better is because, they don't have quite the expertise that we do to be able to spend the time in order to do it and make sure it's working every time. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things that can happen, but.
Jeez.
Well, when you're going to play a video game, you want to play, you don't want to work.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, especially people who've been gaming their entire life, they start playing video games when they're a kid, and they're playing with the controller. They don't remember the struggle it took them, to actually learn how to play the game. It didn't feel like a struggle, even though it actually was when they were a little kid, figuring out those controls. Well, now they're not a little kid, and they're having to they're having to play video games and learn how to play video games in a completely different way. And that can be very frustrating for people, especially if they were very good at what they used to do, and now they're trying to learn how to play differently, like almost like learning a new, not nearly as complicated, but almost like learning a new language in a sense.
Yeah, because sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, with a lot of video games, at least as speaking as someone without a physical disability, I kind of expect the game to just work as soon as I launch it. But with these adaptive controllers, you mentioned, or at least Riley mentioned earlier, having to install multiple different programs just to even not only get the controller to work, but then you also have to remap all the keys and like as soon as you start a game, you're essentially spending at least like 3 minutes doing like some kind of preparation before even pressing the start button.
Yep.
Yeah, that's probably more for the extreme cases. We've had, what was that one we were working on with a guy who had very little moves, and it was eye gaze or
Probably eye gaze. The eye gaze is so individuals who basically only have their eyes in order to play video games. Those are some of the most difficult cases that we see.
So more so those cases where it takes all the setup,
Yeah.
But, I mean, certainly this takes setup, but it's at least like, people can grasp it if we've taught them and they've done a little learning and they've practiced at our facility and that kind of thing. and really you just want something that works, just works. You can
Yep.
plug in and that's the thing. And kind of what you're alluding to is when you use a regular controller to play, I mean, it just works, right? You know what all the buttons do, or at least, it doesn't take too much learning. But then when you use something like this and the access controller, it takes a little bit more to learn what you got to do, as far as binding buttons and where to plug things in. And it's just a little bit, it's foreign to a lot of people.
You're reinventing the wheel for yourself, basically, just trying to play games.
Right.
Yeah.
And, it's almost like keyboarding. You grow up and you learn two-handed touch typing, keyboarding, and eventually it's like riding a bike. You don't think about where your hands are on the keyboard, and you don't have to look, and it's just your fingers automatically know where to go. Same concept with a regular controller. Once you've been using that for so long, like when I play on a regular controller, I don't have to think about, okay, where's the X button? I have to look down. Where's my triggers? That kind of thing. But then once someone loses that ability to play with that controller and they have to relearn a new setup, suddenly, okay, we do have to look. We're like, where's my X button? It's like on this switch over here. And how do I control this joystick? It's over here, and it's just a completely different way of controlling my, it's all this new learning. So that can be a barrier for some people. And that's where we try at Ability, at least, to provide them the training and practice time. A lot of our philosophy is not just, giving them the equipment and like, okay, you need this, here it is.
Yep.
I mean, you're good, you can play now. For us, it's like, it takes a trained, I'm an occupational therapist, and it takes a trained eye to come in and see, to evaluate what the physical and cognitive deficits are first, and then, work from there and really provide functional training for these folks and teach them. It's new learning, right? New motor learning. So
When you were going to school for occupational therapist, like, did you think like, oh, I want to do video games, or like, did this just kind of like, oh, this is awesome, let's work on this? Like, this sounds like so much fun, honestly.
Yeah. So the answer is no to start. I'm a lifelong gamer, so massive nerd. I've been playing games my entire life.
What was your go-to?
I was we had every console growing up. The 64 and playing, Super Mario World and whatever else, PS2, like all that stuff. But I'd say the 360 era was my big. I became very involved in the gaming scene with around the 360 era, playing Call of Duty, Halo, Gears of War, that whole generation, and I've been an Xbox guy kind of since, and PC. I do a lot of PC gaming as well, but when I had the chance to go back for OT school, it was kind of in the back of my mind, like I could maybe do some of this at some point. Never thought I could do adaptive gaming every day when I come in to work, which has just been phenomenal.
So you were aware that people did play like with these?
I think when I first went to OT school, I think maybe I had some cursory, awareness that like this controller existed. I think I knew at some capacity there was some adaptive gaming going on, but I never thought I could do it like virtually for a lot of my caseload at work. And then as I go through OT school, we had to have to do a capstone project, where we have to kind of reach out and find a capstone coordinator to be under and do a whole project kind of thing. And I was able to find AbleGamers through that and work with them for that entire semester. And that's how I met Aaron and everyone at AbleGamers. And that's actually how I found Ability KC to get employed, because I had gone to Ability KC to do an adaptive gaming presentation there, and then met my now boss. So it's kind of cool how all it worked out. But yeah, never thought I would do adaptive gaming like for a lot of my job. And I just, I love it. So it's just been, very, very fortunate to get to where I am. So, yeah.
Well, Aaron, speaking of AbleGamers, how did you like get involved in the field, and what is the process that someone would go through in order to be part of that community?
Okay. So yeah, I ended up getting introduced to AbleGamers. I had just graduated college, and at UMKC here in Kansas City, and then I was volunteering at the ACCT department at Ability KC. I had just started volunteering, and it just so happened that right when I started volunteering, AbleGamers was setting up a partnership with Ability KC, and that's when I was introduced to AbleGamers. The representative of AbleGamers at the time suggested that I apply for a job that they had. At the time, it was called peer counseling, but now we are the adaptive gaming specialists. and yeah, I applied. I got the job, and that's how I came to be at AbleGamers. Great way to become a part of the AbleGamers community. If you're interested in like getting a hold of like adaptive equipment or trying to figure out what adaptive equipment you need, we have partner sites that we have across the U.S. That take in individuals and have them send out essentially tickets to AbleGamers, and then we get those tickets at AbleGamers. I specifically, as an adaptive gaming specialist, get to meet with individuals virtually and evaluate them to see what kind of controls they might need, and then if those individuals need help with getting the equipment because it is so expensive, AbleGamers is then able to grant out that equipment.
That's fantastic. Because I mean, we've had people with adaptive sports equipment, and that stuff is expensive too. But yeah, obviously, anything with like adaptive in it, it's just it's going to be expensive. So that's great that you're able to run that. It's really cool.
Yep.
It's really cool.
And you've been you're a lifelong gamer too.
Oh yeah, I want to hear what games you've played too.
Oh yeah,
or grew up playing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I started on the regular Nintendo, and then
which one though?
64.
No, regular Nintendo.
The NES.
The NES.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I say the regular Nintendo.
I feel like you gotta, there's NES, SC, what I mean, like you gotta like differentiate it.
Okay, like saying the regular, there's the regular Nintendo, then there's the Super Nintendo.
Okay, I see
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, it went from regular to Super Nintendo, and then went to PlayStation, and then Nintendo was just like an afterthought from then on.
Did you have a PS1?
For a long while. Yeah.
Okay, and then PS2?
Yeah, PS1, PS2, and then I got
Classic.
an Xbox because of Halo.
Of course.
Yep. Oh my gosh, Halo was amazing.
Yep.
Halo 2.
Were you a Halo 2 guy? Like, did you play online Halo 2?
Halo 2. So I didn't really play much against other people online.
Gotcha. Okay.
I had
LAN
LAN
parties.
parties.
Like
Lots
everyone
and
else?
lots of LAN parties.
Yep.
We had like 12 people.
Oh yeah.
Yep. We'd have like three
Mom
different
shaking her head,
Xboxes.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Have a bunch of people playing Halo. It was a great time.
Yeah, those were the good old days, man. Everyone coming over and bringing their Xboxes and setting up. I mean, for me it was Halo 3, but
Yeah, same. Halo 3 was my game.
Oh yeah, I did both.
Yeah.
2 and 3.
Classic. Good stuff.
Yep.
What about you, John? Were you a Halo?
I actually grew up as a Nintendo fanboy.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
I didn't have that Xbox.
Feel that.
But you
I
gotta
didn't-
tell them what game you play now, exclusively.
Well, like I've been, for the last year and a half or so,
Yeah.
the only game I've really been playing is World of Warcraft because they
Classic.
came out with Classic, World of Warcraft Classic, and my favorite experiences, at least with World of Warcraft, was during one of their expansions, Wrath of the Lich King. That was by far my favorite expansion. So I was playing a bunch of that, and then they decided, they're just kind of moving along the expansions, just keep re-releasing them, and I imagine until they've believed that they'll gaslight us and trick us and be like, see, retail was wonderful all along. We just led you right back.
Aaron, you should tell everyone like how you play, like what your setup is.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I use a mouth controller called a quad stick.
My bag of goodies. We can show it off.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
say too, if you have a picture or something, like send it to me and I can put it on the screen because that'd be really cool to see that.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, it's a little box there, basically with a joystick that protrudes from it, and a button that's like a little lip button on the end of it that you can snag with your lips. And then above that little button, a little mouthpiece fits on to the end of that.
Lots like that.
Yep.
Okay.
And then there's 4 little holes in the mouthpiece.
Mhm.
And each of those holes you sip and puff on in order to enact an action.
Where's the hose on that?
So the holes aren't on it right now
Oh, okay,
because
okay.
the mouthpiece isn't on it. The mouthpiece goes just above that button there. Yeah, right there. It'll
Okay.
slip on, and then the mouthpiece has 4 holes.
Yeah, so you have this like it's a usually 3D printed
Yep.
mouthpiece, and it just kind of slides on this little rod right here,
Mhm.
and then it has like 4 little straws, little places where you can put your mouth on and do a sip or a puff, and then each sip or puff can be mapped to a specific like in-game command.
Yep.
So
So I'm picturing like a harmonica, but only with the controller.
a little bit,
Yeah,
yeah,
Cool.
a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I like that a lot. I've seen some people play like Call of Duty, and like they'll use like their mouth to bite down to shoot and stuff like that. So I didn't know that's what the device was called. That's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, this one isn't necessarily a bite switch. Or
Okay.
It doesn't have a bite switch. You could technically use a bite switch with it though,
Mm-hmm.
because there's also inputs in the back of it that you can plug switches into, and then you can also plug splitters into the back of it to increase the amount of switches that you want to plug into the back of it. So, I mean, it's a really nice controller. But like I was talking about, how people want to be able to just sit down and play the game. I feel like unless you are a hardcore gamer, like or you're very very much willing to work
Mm-hmm.
to learn to play your games, then like if you are willing to do that, then the quad stick is the controller for you. Otherwise, like if you're just like a very very casual gamer, then the quad stick's probably not for you.
And you probably can you get this on like Amazon or anything like that? You gotta buy that specifically from.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. There's quadstick.com.
Okay.
Yep. And you get it from nice gentleman Fred.
Fred, yeah.
Fred over there. Yeah, Fred Davidson. Yep.
Cool. Okay. If you guys don't mind, I think we're gonna just take a little ad break right now, and then come back in the next couple minutes. So,
Absolutely.
thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Living with a disability can feel isolating, but it doesn't have to. At The Whole Person, peer support groups bring people together who truly understand. The Whole Person provides a variety of peer support groups. Brain injury group, share experiences and navigate life after your injury. Mental health group, connect with others managing anxiety, depression, and other mental health challenges. DIY life skills, build confidence and skills for independence, designed for ages 18 to 24. In addition to these, we offer specific groups for spinal cord injuries, blindness and low vision, and deaf and hard of hearing. Whatever your journey, you're not alone. To find your group and attend our next meeting, please visit thewholeperson.org/peer support or call us at 816-561-0304. Peer support at The Whole Person. Real people, real connection.
Hey guys, welcome back. Really appreciate you guys sticking around with the ad. We're here with Riley and Aaron, just still talking about video games. We also have John here. So let's kind of just start off with, can you describe the process of how someone comes to Ability KC and kind of get started with your program?
Yeah, so happy to kind of give an overview of how someone would get started with adaptive gaming at Ability. So at Ability, outpatient rehab facility, like I said before, a lot of our people come through because they're discharging from an inpatient unit somewhere at a hospital. They come to us to do outpatient therapy in our day program. So our day program services is kind of a unique model where patients will come and stay actually for a lot of the day, maybe like a 4 to 5, even 6-hour day, and they'll come in and they'll get OT, PT, and speech, as well as our value-added services. So they might get our groups or counseling or things of that nature, and so they'll go through our day program and be seen by clinical OT. And then what happens is during clinical occupational therapy, there might be the OT might see that they have, technology needs. They may need to go back to return to work, be able to use a computer again, or they're struggling to use their phone, or even for just leisure pursuits, like they're trying to read on their tablet or things. And because of their disability or the nature of their neurological condition, whether that's like a stroke or a spinal cord injury, traumatic brain injury, these kinds of things, they're just unable to do that. And so ROTs will internally refer over to our ACT program, the Adaptive Computer and Communication Technologies program, and they'll come see me for an evaluation. We'll get them set up. I'll kind of evaluate what their cognitive and physical needs are and deficits and that kind of thing. And then we'll kind of go from there and decide what kind of adaptive equipment, software, or whatever we're looking at to be able to enable them to be as independent as possible. So that includes adaptive gaming. So, if the client has said that they're a previous gamer or they would like to look at gaming as a new kind of leisure activity to get into, they will be referred to us in the same way, but I will evaluate them for an adaptive gaming evaluation instead. And so same kind of thing. I'm looking very much at the clinical side of their cognitive physical deficits and how it's impacting their access to a standard controller. And then we'll make that decision, based on their needs of what adaptive equipment we're going to go with. And there's lots of different factors that go into all of that. And so I could see them, weekly for that kind of service, as we do evaluation and training for the equipment. And then some of these guys might come and just be a part of my gaming groups eventually. So I run gaming groups at Ability. Right now I'm almost doing it daily with our pediatric and adult clients. And they'll come through, and based on the setup that we've set them up with, they'll get more of that training and more mastery over their setup through our gaming groups, and also get to play with other people and just have fun. Gaming is just such a fun, motivating thing. And so we're just having a good time playing, and then they're learning their access method and whatever controls they've been set up with, so that they can go ahead and do it at home. And so that's how the general overview process of how an internal patient comes to us. But certainly our program will see patients just for adaptive gaming. They can come in and we'll see patients completely just regular outpatient that's not within our day program, and they'll come through and same kind of process, evaluations and that kind of thing, get them set up. And then once, we've kind of decided and I've evaluated them and we figured out what equipment we're going to want to go with, that's when we'll kind of use AbleGamers or get AbleGamers to help us with some of that funding process to get the equipment that they need. Because like we said, it can be pretty expensive. It's not like outlandishly crazy expensive. The controller like this is like $100. This joystick here is $35. I would say, there's some stuff that is like crazy expensive. Like the quad stick is like $500 or something like that. But
it's a whole console itself right there.
Yeah, and then the AbleGamers will grant out consoles too. So that is a big expense. The console itself, they need that. So yeah, that's like the overview of Ability. It's just it's a very kind of unique setup, but I'm able to see a lot of people for gaming for that, and so I've been very fortunate to do a lot of my gaming stuff. So
pretty cool.
Actually, AbleGamers is only able to donate consoles under like very unique circumstances. Unfortunately,
yes.
So most of the time we can't donate consoles. We can only typically donate like the actual adaptive equipment.
Oh yeah. That's my bad.
No, you're good.
Yeah, it's most of the equipment.
Yeah,
not the actual console itself.
Yeah. But we do on special occasions we're able to.
Well, speaking of adaptive equipment, there might be some, say, like disabilities that where they could probably use a non-adaptive controller just fine, like say they're low vision or they're hard of hearing. What challenges do you come across when you are met with someone that has like these disabilities?
So a lot of times with people with like low vision or hearing issues, and you don't have physical objects that can resolve those problems. So what you need is software. And so most of the time, what you're going to have to do is rely, hopefully, on the developers in that case. Hopefully there's settings that they have within there that helps you with like whatever low visibility you might have. Say you have trouble reading the words on your screen. Well, the developer may have in their settings, if you go through and look through the settings, visual settings, it'll probably say visuals, honestly, under the settings. Look for something that enlarges the text, that kind of a thing. Unfortunately, we kind of do rely a bit on the developers with those problems. Earlier, Riley was talking about a game called a new Ratchet and Clank game that came out recently that has just phenomenal accessibility features on it for especially for people with disability issues. The way that Riley described it, it basically certain things that you can do. These are just like some of the accessibility features that are on it. For visuals, like you can turn the whole thing to grayscale. The whole everything that you see to basically grayscale, and then all of your opponents turn red, um,
Yeah.
bright red, so you can see everybody that you're supposed to be shooting at, nice and clear.
Yeah, generally these games, developers are more and more learning how valuable it is to have a broad suite of accessibility options, and they are, learning to include things like, not only visual accessibility options, but also motor options as well. For this same Ratchet and Clank game has a bevy of options for motor and visual. So like Aaron was talking about, there's the grayscale options with, highlight the enemies red, and I think some of the interactable objects in your view are like yellow, and you can go like destroy boxes that are highlighted and things. Makes for people with low vision a lot easier to interact with. But then on the motor side, if someone has issues with holding down a trigger to be able to fire their weapon or whatever, you can set it to a toggle, right? And these are sorts of things that are like, it's not like crazy, it's not something that's like, it's not rocket science, it's like these things I feel like should be in most games, right? Especially games with shooters or whatever kind of thing it is. So developers are catching onto that stuff more and more lately. I think there's just in the last 5 years, partially due because of the Xbox adaptive controller, and courses that like things like education courses that AbleGamers offers, for example, or other kinds of education classes and things out there. Developers are starting to understand the value of adding all of this to their games, and so yes, we're limited by the software a lot by the developers, but they're learning and they're starting to include more and more accessibility, as time goes on, and things like the video game accessibility awards they have every year now, or at least that's
cool.
they're adding like. I think there's a big conference or award show that's about accessibility or something. So
I can't remember that one, but I know that there's plenty of accessibility awards.
yeah, there's like it's just growing. It's more expanding. So
I'm just picturing like playing like Splinter Cell or something 15 years ago. You go to settings and you're not seeing accessibility on there, but you go to any games nowadays like Overwatch or something like that, like it says accessibility, and then there's other menus in that too, so they get really specific, and that's really cool that they're able to develop all these things and have more people play games. That's his bottom line to it. Playing more games, more people playing games.
Last of Us is a good example too of a game that's really added a lot of accessibility options to their menus, and they have under difficulty. It used to be like easy, medium, hard. That's what you get, or you wouldn't have a difficulty. But with The Last of Us, you can set a slider for each, like for individual things in the game, like maybe like player health or enemy health, or how alert the enemies are to your, like when you're stealthing. You can set all of that stuff and change each individual slider if you want. So if there's one thing that's giving you a really big issue in the game, you can tone that one down.
Okay.
But then you might not want to put it to very easy, because then it's like, a walk in the park or something, So it, stuff like that can only help players. It might take a little more developer work for sure. But they're at least seeing the value of that, and kind of moving towards that universal design where like, we can make games more inclusive, and it helps everyone, not just people with disabilities, right? Like sometimes I would want to go through and look at those options and just see, maybe I'm like, dang, this thing is really annoying me, and just turn it down a little bit. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, like what you said about it being for everyone is in fact true. Like again, I don't have like a physical disability, or but like oftentimes whenever I start a new game, I tend to go to the accessibility tab and try to enlarge the text, because nowadays with our bigger screens, the text will look a little bit smaller. And I want to actually be able to understand what the characters are actually saying.
Yeah, like subtitles is a good example. Like subtitles helps everyone. I mean, not just people who absolutely need it to hear or see what's being said or whatever, but I certainly turn subtitles on, and that's just like an example of a basic accessibility feature that, people found out, like everyone benefits from that, not just people who need it, right? So,
right. It's also something that people don't realize is a form of accessibility.
Right. They think it's just like a natural thing that's like ingrained into, whatever. But I assume it started as an accessibility feature, right? Yeah. So more and more things need to move that way. And be in that direction. So
I was gonna ask you, Aaron. So you said you like World of Warcraft, and that's your main game that you play.
Yeah.
Were you playing that also when it first came out? Because I know it's been out for a while.
Yeah. I was playing that. Shoot, when did I start? Was that 2006? Somewhere in there, I started playing. I think I hopped on when Burning Crusade came out. And this was actually before my injury, before I was paralyzed.
Gotcha.
So I was playing World of Warcraft on, mouse and keyboard back then, and now I'm playing on a quad stick. So yeah, I played basically. I played on mouse and keyboard before I was paralyzed up until Wrath of the Lich King, and then kind of life got in the way and I stopped playing. And also, I didn't really play the new expansion that had come out at the time after, called Cataclysm. Um, it didn't look appealing to me at the time, but anyways, they re-released Classic, and so I ended up going back to World of Warcraft for a while, and I'm still playing it because I never played Cataclysm. It was okay. It was all right. They actually just in Classic World of Warcraft, they just moved or started to move on to Mists of Pandaria.
Okay.
have they? Cool.
Yep.
I was just wondering because I know that since that game's been a while, there probably wasn't a lot of accessibility options that there are now compared to when you first started playing it.
Oh yeah, and honestly, so I don't know, with World of Warcraft, I feel like there's a lot of options to customize things within the game, and outside of and to affect the game within from outside.
Okay.
A lot of add-ons
Yeah.
that people have made for the gaming community to make the game a lot easier or just a lot more convenient in a lot of ways. I mean, in and of itself, like the game comes with a lot of accessibility options.
Yeah.
Like from ooh, that was spit from the beginning, from the very beginning. Like you've always been able to like mark different, like put different symbols above people's heads, NPCs, bad guys, or your own gaming groups. A lot of times people like to mark the healers and the tanks
Okay.
above their heads, so you have a good, visual bearing on where they are at all times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's even more. Honestly, a lot of the accessibility that I get from World of Warcraft derives straight from my quad stick. I didn't even honestly go through the accessibility options all that much on the on the game itself. Maybe I ought to take a look at that.
Hey, if it works, don't break it if it works type thing.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I know we're running a little bit long on time, so is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about before we close this off?
Well, maybe not specifically, just that maybe I can just plug Ability KC and
Absolutely.
our what we do, and I obviously ran through that and kind of explained our processes, but I work in our assistive tech department, the ACT department, and we are always open for referrals and things from outside people. We take all insurances, and if anyone out there who is looking to find a way to get back into gaming or wants to explore gaming and they have some level of disability that's barring them from that, we can certainly have you come in and do an evaluation, and I'll figure out what our deficits are and figure out the equipment that they need, and kind of go through the training process for that. And they can go through that just by doing our intake form on the abilitykc.org website. You can just find the ACT, the Adaptive Computer and Communication Technologies sub-tab, and find the intake link through that. But certainly maybe we could share that somewhere as well.
Yeah, we'll have it on the screen pull up. So yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And then is it mostly in Kansas City or?
Yeah, unfortunately, Ability KC is Kansas City local,
Yeah,
and so we would have to do the evaluation here at Ability, just because I got to get a sense, for your physical needs and things like that. And so but if you're willing to drive out here, wherever you are, come on through, and we'll figure out what we can do. So
there you go. That's your sign, guys. That's your sign to come in.
absolutely.
And then Aaron with the AbleGamers, anything?
Yeah, AbleGamers. Give us a look-see on our website at ablegamers.org. We're across. Our reach is across the U.S. Sometimes we kind of dip over into Canada and other places, but that's getting a little more difficult. I think that's pretty much it.
Cool. Is there anything you wanted to add, John?
No.
Okay. All right. No, I'm joking. All right. Well, honestly, this has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. I definitely want to have you guys come back and, give us updates or anything, like if there's anything changed, any new equipment or anything like that.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people learned from this episode, including myself. So really, really thankful for you guys coming by. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, this is a blast. This is like my passion area. I love. I could talk about this for hours.
I was gonna say, I know we all got schedules, so we could be here for 6 hours if we wanted to.
Exactly. So yeah, happy to come back whenever.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next one. All right. Bye.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on our podcast. Today, I'm going to go through some of the monthly events that the Whole Person hosts. Again, my name is Haley Korf. I am your vision impaired host today, so bear with me. I've got a lot of notes here, okay? All right, the first event is Getting Social. It's the first Friday of every month. The next event is Time to Spare, and that is the third Wednesday of every month. That is our accessible bowling open to everyone who has a disability. The next event is Mind's Eye View, and that is the first Monday of every month. That is more geared towards people who are vision impaired or blind to get together and talk about some of the difficulties. Then after that, we have our DIY skills for young adults, age range 18 through 24, and that is the last Wednesday of every month. Brain Injury Peer Support Group, the second Thursday of every month. And then Tech Talk, the second Monday of the month. And that is also geared towards people who are vision impaired or blind to get together and talk a little bit more about accessibility issues. If you have any more questions, feel free to look it up at thewholeperson.org. And again, please join us for any event at any time. Thank you.